All right, so let's talk about higher order functions and what the hell that means. So let me present you a problem. So I got a function sum and a and b. So now you can essentially call the function with 5 and 4. So once again, you know that already, right? Sum a plus return a plus b, and that returns number 9. Easy peasy. But imagine, guys, that I got that. So first of all, how many arguments do we have? Correct. What's the type of the first argument? Number, that's correct. And what's the type of the second argument? That's correct. So, can I do a plus b? Will that work? Will that return 11? No, why not, Minji? That's correct, Adam. B is a function. So, if we want the number 6, we have to invoke it. Yeah, we have to call the function. So that will return 11. Here you go. You see? 11. So that's the first type of higher order functions. That's what we call a function as an argument. Yeah? Some developers refer to that as a callback function. You may have heard about that, callback function. So callback function is a function that is passed as the argument of another function, and eventually, at some point, it's invoked. And obviously, we can change that. So let me present you a problem. I'm going, guys, to pass number 2. Yeah. And I want this algorithm to return 17. So what else do I have to do? Yes? Yep. Okay. Something like that? That's correct. That's brilliant, Ian. Yeah, that's brilliant. So how this works? First of all, A is 5. No problem at all. So we're doing 5 plus, and now here we go to complexity. We call function B. This is function B. And we pass one argument, number 2. So number is 2. So that function receives 2 and returns 2 times 6. So 2 times 6 is obviously 12. Yeah? So that expression returns 12. So 5 plus 12 is obviously 17. Any questions? Sorry, Panos. Can you repeat the question? There were some issues with with the connection, I believe. So, yes. The first time return 9. A plus like that. Okay. Now you want me to call B like that. Okay. Yeah, cool. Thank you, Panos. All right, so back to the snippet we presented. Yeah, so that's a higher order function, a function we pass as an argument. Yeah, so when you got this type of arguments personally, just to simplify things a bit, I would recommend you to rename variable b to maybe b function. Yeah, make some sort of guide the developers, guide your colleagues that hey, this is a function, and then and so it will be invoked, it will be called, it will be executed at some point, or maybe callback. Once again, you know, callback is some sort of, or callback function is some sort of standard way of referring to these methods. Yeah, yeah, that's the way it works. When talking about this sort of higher order functions, there are multiple ways we can see them. So, for instance, that's one of them as an arrow function. That's the easiest way. But don't forget that here you can have a classic function as well. So you got the function return number times 6, I think. Yeah, that's what we did before. So you can see, guys, that's exactly the same thing. Yeah, callback function points to that function. So once we call it, the function will be executed. Does it make sense? Yeah. Can I what? Sorry. Yeah, so when we have a callback function, there are different ways we can define a callback function. We can either use an arrow function, let me bring it back, which is probably the easiest way of doing that, to be honest. So number, and then number times 6. Yeah. So that line of code, line number 8, is equivalent to lines number 9, 10, and 11. Yeah, that's an arrow function, and that's a classic function. Yeah, that's the same. Of course, you can also have something like that. Will that work, guys? What if I want to keep the curly braces? Correct, guys. At the return statement. So, you know, I mean, there are different ways to declare a function, but the way you declare a function has nothing to do with the higher order functions. Yeah? That's just the way JavaScript works. At the end of the day, the important thing is, hey, the second argument is a function. So it's up to you to define the syntax or the way you want to declare the function. If you want to do something simple, obviously, you know, just keep it as simple as possible, something like that. Cool. So now, can you tell me if I got something like that? So now I want you to tell me what will this algorithm return once I complete it. Sorry guys. So what's the solution to this problem? $14? That's correct, Adam. Yeah, why 14? Once again, let's break it down, guys. Divide and conquer. That's the key for success. On the first one, callback function, the first one, yeah, we pass number 4, so number is 4. So then we return 8 divided by 4. 8 divided by 4 is obviously 2. So we got 2 plus what we already know, right? On the second one, we pass number 2, and we do 2 times 6, which is 12. So 2 plus 12, as you said, guys, is 14, as you can see at the bottom. Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much it about the first type of higher order functions. So higher order functions can work as arguments. Yeah, that's the first way we can use them. Any questions before we present the second way of using higher order functions? Hello? No? All right. So now let's start again. Let me share that on Slack as usual. So let me present you the second way of dealing with HOFs, higher order functions. So if I got a function sum with a and b, and I return a plus b, so when I call it, same a and b, no, not a and b obviously, so 5 and 2, that will return 7. Yeah? So what type of data our function sum returns? That's a number, that's correct. But now, what if I do that? What type of data sum returns? That's correct, guys. That's absolutely correct. Now, it doesn't return a number. It returns a function. So the way we can deal with that is let result. And now, how can I get the number 7? That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. So now result is a reference to this function. So we need to invoke it. We need to use the parentheses to call it. And that will return number 7. So, and now let's make it a bit more complicated. What if I want to return 10? What do I need to change? Yep, which number? What's the value of C? That's correct. Yeah. So at the time of calling this higher order function, A is 5, B is 2, and now suddenly we are providing number C, which is 3. So 5 plus 2 plus 3 is obviously 10. Yeah? That's the second type of higher order functions. Not as the arguments. You see, arguments are easy, 2 numbers, but as return statements of another function. So higher order function running as the return statement of another function. Any questions? Yeah. So this is the return statement is not a number, it's not a string, it's not a boolean, it's a function. So that's another type of higher order functions. Functions that are returned by another function. So the sum function returns another function. So in order to call that higher order function, we need to invoke it as we are doing here at the bottom. Yeah. Maybe instead of result, once again, let's look after the semantics. Let's call it maybe result function. Yeah, you see, at least you're telling your colleagues, hey, that's a function. Actually, that's a function. So if you want to get the result, you have to invoke it. What else, guys? I think Minji, you had a question before. Mm-hmm. Yes. How can you what? Sorry. Okay. Okay, that's a good question. That's a good question. Look. What will that console log return? Look, it's actually an error. Why? Because here, in line number 3, we don't have access to the variable C. That doesn't exist yet. Yeah? So we call the method sum. So we are here. We don't have access to value C. that will be only available afterwards, once we call the returning function. Then here we do have access to C, but not before. Like that. Okay, guys, can you tell me what will this function return? Wrong. Ah, that's correct. That's correct, Ian. That would return not a number. Why? What's the value of A? And B? Correct. What 7 plus undefined returns? Not a number. Yeah, that's correct. More questions, guys? What do you mean, similar example? Okay, let's continue refactoring this problem. So once again, when you write a higher order function, the syntax is up to you. So for instance, can I do that? That's exactly the same code written in a different way. Yeah. Instead of having a narrow function, we have a classic function. But that's exactly the same thing. So if we run it, well, not the numbers because we are not passing the numbers yet, but that's the way it works. So let's do an exercise, guys. Look, I'm trying to add some breakpoints. If it works, no. Oh yeah, it works. Surprisingly, it works. Or sort of. Nah. Come on, Google. Oh god, sorry guys. Let me try to copy the snippet somewhere else, see if it works. No. Oh, what the hell? Oh god. Anyways, I cannot add breakpoints, unfortunately, don't ask me why. But I can tell you what the execution order... Oh, what the hell? That's horrible. I want to add a breakpoint. I seriously want to add a breakpoint. Anyway. So the way the execution order is... Can anybody tell me what's the first line to run? Yes. Okay, cool. That's interesting. Let's the options. I'm going to softly mark the breakpoints because they don't work, right? You cannot see that, so you'll have to trust me. So I want to have breakpoints on line number 9, 10, 3, 4, and 5. Out of that list of numbers, everybody please is going to tell me what's the execution order. So Ian, and then Minji, and then Dan, and Panos, and Adam. So Ian. All right. So Minji. (45) 4 and 5. 10, 9. What about 3? So 3 doesn't run at all. (4 and 5). Okay. Ian, you came across a solution? What else? Dan? Panos? Or Adam? Any of you guys? Are you hiding, guys? I can see you. So Dan agrees with Ian. Okay. Panos and Adam. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Panos. Last chance. Yeah. 9 and what else? I think we've lost you. So 9 and then what else after 9? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Interesting. So let's review the results. Yeah, there is what? Say it again? I don't know. We'll figure out in a second. Yeah. And there is 1 point in the board challenge for the first person giving the right answer here. So first of all, Minji, that doesn't make any sense. Line number 10 cannot run before line number 9. That doesn't really make sense. Yeah. So the first one is line number 9. Because why? Because obviously we got the function, but this is just the declaration of the function. We don't run it yet, right? We don't run the function yet. So we continue all the way down, and then the first thing is we run line number 9. So first thing first. Yeah, line number 9 is the first line to execute. But then we call the sum method. That means the control goes here. Yeah, so the next line is going to be free. That's why Adam, that's not correct neither. That's not correct. Because before going to line number 10, we want to execute that function. Yeah? Execute the function means first of all the console log. Yeah, number 3, correct. Then line number 4, because that's the return statement. But now the question is, guys, what will run first? Number 5 or number 10? What goes first? That's correct, guys. Number 10 first, because, hey, guys, once again, this is a function. So the function won't run until we call it. Yeah? So first of all, we call it, line number 10, and then we run whatever the function does, line number 5. So in other words, these people is right. Ian, Dan, and Panos. So Ian, you get 1.5 points on the board challenge, because that was slightly more complicated than usual. Yeah, so it's important, guys, to really have an understanding about what the execution order is. Not having the breakpoints is not actually excuse, because you can add console logs. I mean, I'm sure that you can deal with that. You can deal with the process of understanding what the execution order is. Any questions? No? Alright, so then let's present the last problem. Can we combine them, guys? Can we combine higher order functions as arguments plus higher order functions as return statements? The answer is obvious. Yes, we can. Yeah? So, let me present the best way of dealing with the problem. So imagine that I got something like that. So I want that function to return 17, for instance. 17 doesn't make sense, guys, sorry. 18 maybe. Yes, 18. What do I have to change to get 18 as a result? Another 1.5 points on the board challenge. Like that. What do you think, guys? Do you agree or do you disagree with Ian? So Minji agrees. So I think, Ian, you're absolutely right. So what type of data A is? Correct. And what type of data B is? It's a function. Now, suddenly, B is a function. So we have to invoke it if we want to deal with it, yeah? So A, 5. B, what's the value of B? I don't know. Let's call it parentheses 5. Number is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So we do 5 plus 10, 15, plus, once we call it, we got C, that is 3. So 5 plus 10 plus 3 is obviously 18. So let's run it. Oh, suddenly now I got a breakpoint. Thank you for nothing. Oh God, it's getting worse. It's changing colors. But yeah, 18, right? You can think you can see number. Oh, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? Let me try again. Went nuts. Here you go. 18, yeah? So that's the way it works. Any questions? Hello? What if we have another function? You want to pass a third argument? Okay. Yeah, we can do that if you want. So inside the first function sum. Not sure what you want to do. You want to return here another function? Okay. Yeah. Definitely. After. What do you mean after? Here? That doesn't make sense. That won't be even evaluated, Adam, because on line number 3 you return something. Don't forget, guys, once you return something, the function is over. So that won't work at all. That doesn't make sense. Ah. Yeah, okay. So let me rephrase the example a bit. Guys, let me present you the last example of the day. Look. You see the change, right? Now we got another function, another function that does the trick of adding A, B, C, and then multiplies everything by D. So if I want that algorithm to return 36, can anyone apart from Ian, who got 3 points already today, can anyone apart from Ian tell me what else do I need to do to complete this algorithm? Mm-hmm. Correct. So Minji got the point. Look. So what? Look. First of all, resolve function. Resolve function points here. Yeah. So once we invoke it, we return another function. So we can rename that a bit, result1 function, and then we can create a new variable, result2 function. So now, what else, Minji? What do I need to do to get 36 on the console? And then what? What's the value of D? I mean, before that, easy, Minji. That bit of code returned 18. Correct. Yeah, that's correct, Minji. That's correct. Let's run it. Let's run it, guys. Let's run it. Oh, again, another breakpoint. Okay, let me complete that. Here we go. You see, it works. It returns 36. So how can anybody tell me how many higher order functions do we have in this example? That's correct, Panos. That's correct. We have 3 higher order functions. One as an argument, and 2 as return statements. Yeah? So in total, we got 3 higher order functions. Let me share that snippet on Slack as well. And then to finish that session, so Minji said something interesting. So Minji didn't want to create variables, and that's fine. You get a function that returns another function, that's fine. In reality, instead of creating functions, guys, you can do that. That's the same. Why that's the same? Look, because you got a function that returns this function. Yeah, the first higher order function as a return statement. Fine. So once we call it, number 3 is C. So we are essentially running that method, which returns another method. So we can call it as well. So now D equals 2, and then eventually we'll return the result of adding that complex operation, which is 36. Yeah. So, and also we can refactor that. Guys, I'm going to rewrite this complex snippet into one line of code. Look. You see? These lines of commented code are the same at this bit here. Maybe we can add some parentheses if you want, yeah? So the first function, sum, will return what? Another function. So once we call it, it will return another function. I don't particularly like that because I find that code harder to read. Not sure if you agree with me. Personally, it's more compact. So yeah, fantastic. We're saving some lines of code, but it's hard from a human point of view, harder to read. That's why when you deal, even though that's correct, you can see the works. When you deal with a complex structure, then it's much better to do something like that. Yeah. The reason why I presented you higher order functions is because these are vital when talking about asynchronous JavaScript. Next week, I think that's on Monday. Let me check the calendar quickly. Yes, on the 31st of March, the first workshop of the week. So we'll continue talking about higher order functions. We'll present probably a more natural example. So we'll present a problem, following what Adam suggested before about presenting different alternatives. We'll present a problem where we call a function, but the function doesn't resolve the problem immediately. The function takes a while. So that's a classic scenario when, for instance, when you call the backend, yeah? Now, many of you are dealing with front-end, backend problems. So you know when the front-end calls the backend to deal with a problem, to fetch a list of TV shows, for instance, it may take a while. Yeah, the backend may not respond immediately. The backend may take 2-3 seconds to send the list of TV shows to the frontend. So in that particular scenario, higher order functions will become vital to orchestrate the different components of your algorithms. Anything else, guys? No, I understand that's quite intense. So very intense. Yeah, I'm not against that, Minji. My next steps, guys. Next steps. First of all, please rewatch the workshop, because the more times you watch this workshop, the more natural everything will feel. And afterwards, please practice on the Codely platform with the higher order functions module. I'm talking about JavaScript intermediate. Please play it until your fingers start to bleed. Yeah, because that module clearly proves whether you understood that workshop or not. Yeah. Unless you have any other questions, guys, that was pretty much it from my side. So, yep. Thank you for watching.